Hey guys, and welcome to another day on the shop. Today we're still working on the Camaro. Not the 240, the Camaro. So the Camaro is getting this engine completed. We got all the pistons in last video, and we got to still work on getting the oil system in and putting all that in. Oil pans right here with a rock in it for some reason. I'll clean that out one more time. It's sitting here ready to go. Looks like it's just dust and dirt from above. So painted it gray, painted this black. Still got a lot of work to do down that way. So today we are working on the heads. So saw a sneak preview of a clean head and a dirty head. Dirty head, clean head. So we're going to start out by throwing this in my little parts washer right here. We're going to throw some super clean all on it. Also, what's in my parts washer is nothing but super clean and a little bit of water. So we're going to let this soak really good, and then we're going to get the wire brush, clean it all up, and then go through it with these little dealios, these little wire brushes on a drill. We're going to get some of these holes cleaned out and everything else. I couldn't get all the paint off, even with aircraft paint remover. It just wouldn't come off. It just needs to be blasted, bead blasted or whatever. So I'm looking at the seals, and apparently these seals look really good, so I'm not worried about the seals too much. I'm cleaning out in here. You can still see it's black. The exhaust port's pretty good, even though I've sprayed it, cleaned it, and hit it with a wire brush. But we are going to be doing a valve job today. So we're popping these off, the springs and the little retainers, and we're going to push the valve out, look at it, clean it up, clean as much of it as we can, and I'll show you all a clean valve in a minute. And we're going to use this little cool tool that I have to do the lapping for us, so we don't have to do the lapping by hand, sitting there looking like we're trying to make a fire. So let's start doing some stuff. Steel heads are heavy. Alright, so we're just going to get to soaking this thing everywhere. Let it sit in those ports. Let it sit up top. Some of these ports. With this stuff not diluted, it's quite strong. So, alright, let all that settle in. Throw all the bolts down. That's joyful. We'll figure that out later. I'll let some of this sit in here. Okay, so we're going to start working on the heads right here. We've got our lapping mechanism. We've got some lapping compound, the valve grinding compound. In case we need to redo the seals, I've got a puller for that. We've got our valve spring compressor, and then we've got a ratchet and a magnet with a keeper on it. So we're going to pull this keeper off and pull this nut and move it and put it all together over here. I'm going to get a magnet and do all that with. So we're going to be using this. Have you ever seen one of these? Cool? Yeah? No? Maybe? Alright, well, the way this works is this presses right here. Probably better right here. So when this presses right here, let's get y'all down a little bit. You're going to loosen this up. Loosen, 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 loosen. And it moves these other legs down. And then you're going to get the legs down far enough. The way I would do it is I would basically almost bottom this thing out. Come all the way down to the last spring you can. Oh. Alright, so we're down to the last spring. Alright, now that we have this in place, snugging up around the spring where we want it, we're going to slowly tighten this down. I want to use a ratchet because I don't really trust the other thing. This little keeper deal here is going to go on top of that, which is the keeper retainer, the spring retainer. So let's put that right there. And let's try and hold all this together. It'd probably be easier if we had like a rubber band around it. But what we're going to do is we're going to see. We just hold all this together one-handed like so. These spring deals don't like it. Alright, there we go. Alright, so now we're going to compress this spring right here. And as we compress, as much as we can, it will release tension from the valve to this top, and we're going to remove the keepers. But I've got to get this in further because I got a triple spring in here. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just showing you how to use it. This little tool is going to be in the link in the description down below, as well as links to like this ratchet, which is a swivel head ratchet from OLSA Tools, this little lapping tool, some Permatex, and the Super Clean. So let's get to doing this. Alright, so we got the valve out. I had to kind of tap it out because it would not come out easily. So, looking at the back of the valve, is pretty dirty, nasty. All back here, you can see sediment all on the inside of it. So, what I like to do, again, is take my Super Clean and squirt it inside. Let it sit in there for a minute. Then, get my handy dandy drill and kind of go around and all where the valve's at. So the valve doesn't look too bad if you can see the shimmer of light around the edge. And then the same thing with this, but we're going to make it better. This one we've already done. You see the gray all the way around it? Still got a little Super Clean in there. But the gray all the way around there, I just lapped it earlier. And it's coming out pretty good. So this one's going back in. Now this one's going to get lapped. Now let's get the lapping tool out. So the lapping tool comes with different size little plungers for whatever need you have as of the size of your valves. So this goes on here. This was for the smaller valve. This little hole right here shoves in here. Alright, making sure you still have good, adequate holding on your valve. Alright. Now we're going to take a little bit of valve compound and swirl it around. Not too much. A lot or a little goes a long way. So go all the way around. Stick this little doohickey back in here, which was difficult to get out in the beginning. Alright, we got our drill attached to it. Alright, now we're going to sit here and just go around. And as we hold this little thing right here, it makes the valve move back and forth. And the faster you do the drill, the faster it goes. Alright, so you saw me do the first one, well the second one. It's cleaned all up, sounds good. This one slides nice, this one still has some grit in it. I gotta spray it back off. I'm gonna spray it with some brake cleaner, get that stuff off, and that grit will go away. Alright, so valves are sitting good. We're going to test them after we do all this. We're going to put a plug in here and fill it full of gasoline and see if it leaks out at all. If it doesn't, perfect fit. If it does, we got to work on some valves some more. So I'm going to knock the rest of these out, and then we'll get to the other head in there. So let's do this. So the camera died. I did my valve job, and then I filled every valve or combustion chamber up with gas. See, there's still a little bit of gas in here, but these two are empty. These two, this one's emptying out the exhaust side, and this one, I don't know. This one has a small leak on the intake side. So I'm not too worried about this one, but this one has a bad leak. So I gotta pull this valve back off and lap it one more time. But these other ones are good, it seems like. So it's a good old school method of making sure your lapping was a success. So as the gas seeps out somewhere and you find out where it's coming from, you can fix it. So we're going to pop these plugs back out and pop this exhaust valve back out and do another lapping on this. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, if you see how I did this, I had to take a zip tie because these little things, those little arms, fingers, whatever you want to call them, they pop off because this is a triple stack valve spring, and it's difficult to get it in there without it popping out. If this was a single valve or single spring, then it would be a lot easier. But since it's a triple, you got to feed your way with little fingers through there and attach it. They pop out because the fingers aren't very long. So I zip tie it to make sure that these hold together after I pry through with a flathead screwdriver to get the fingers all the way in. So let's get this back in. Okay, and from the way this is and how it held gas and everything else, I'm going to call it done. I'm not going to retest it because I just lapped this valve one more time really good, and I think they're all good. So this head's done. This thing can get ready to get everything else on it. On top of it's going to get some paint. I can tell you what color it is because that is for when I assemble it. These aren't aluminum, these are steel, and they're heavy. Next time I do anything like this, I would highly suggest, if you have the money, go ahead and send them to a machine shop. They'll take all this down all the way to metal with their hot dip. They can do your valve job, they can do your stem seals and everything. It'll probably be about $250 a head, but it will be thorough and it'll come out a whole lot cleaner than having this stuff still in there even after I've cleaned it and cleaned it and cleaned it and cleaned it. Each head has probably about 4 hours in it, so that's about 8-hour days just for 2 heads when I could have paid $500 and had basically brand new heads. It's good to learn them and how everything goes, but at the same time, I'll have this redone by a machine shop next time. So let's get to this other head. A good example of what Super Clean can do, you see that little stripe right there? That's where the Super Clean sat. So the Super Clean sat on some of these valves all night and cleaned them up miraculously. So probably gonna tip them over, have it sit in the combustion chamber a little bit longer, and then I'll come back. I'm gonna put spray that is not diluted. What's in the parts cleaner is diluted with some water. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna fill all these up, let it sit. I'll probably put some spark plugs back in it, let it sit, and once it does that, I'll hopefully have clean combustion chambers and valves that are spick and span, and then we'll work our way to the inside. So let's do that. All right, got some spark plugs in here, old spark plugs. So now I'm just going to spray this in here and let this sit. Let's see how much we can get in here. Fill these things up, let them sit, and let the Super Clean do its magic. Alright, well, we're still waiting on this. It's been about 20 minutes, so I'm going to leave it for a while. I figure that's the best result, is leave it as long as it can. While I was sitting here, my wife brought me an Amazon package for an air filter for my air compressor. So, if I can put y'all up. There we go. Boop. Here's the old one. It hadn't been ran for like, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 years. Sitting in a shed. That's nasty. That's a lot prettier. So, a little bit smaller. We'll make it work somehow, some way. I don't have my knife on me, so I got these little snips. Pop this out and put this in here so that we can work safely, so I don't have bugs or something getting in it. Keeping the internals clean. All right, back to the other content. There we go. So as I wait on that, I'm just piddling right now. I got things to do. Here's the alternator bracket. Just cleaning it up. I'm going to repaint it black. So as you see, I got all these parts here. I got all this paint here. I'm going to keep wire wheeling this until it gets pretty much everything off. And then I got this one. This one's pretty much good. It's got some little parts on it that I don't like. It's got some rust on it. So we're going to take this down too, and probably not all the way, but I eventually want to get rid of this and get a more, I don't know, better visual one for this. And then eventually we're going to pull this in, or we might not pull it apart, but we're going to clean it up some more. And then I have the starter that we're going to pull apart and clean up and repaint and make it pretty. This might get another, or might get a coat of paint too. I'm going to see if I can get a little wire brush and get in these fins and clean them up. I want it show car ready, but I'm not going to go through the whole entire process, especially with a car that I don't really care that much for. But it's got some dents and dings and some Bondo. It's got rust, so I'm not worried about it. So that's what we're doing right now. So I'm going to get back to grinding on this. Another thing I'm doing is I'm taking down these like hard edges right here that just don't look good. So I'm just blending them in to the bracket itself, even like this little dealio right here. Blending all that in. I'm going to circle these around a little bit. Yeah, they're flat, but I don't want a flat edge right here when I can have a little circular edge. But these little cast pieces like this I don't like. So I'm going to get rid of this. Make it one fluent motion, and then I'm softening the edges up a little bit more with the wire wheel. So that's what I'm doing right now. Alright, so I got rid of the edges around to the corners. That didn't take much time either, so it's a lot, I think it's a lot cleaner looking without all those edges on it from being cast. But this down here doesn't look the same. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this, because like I said, I just want a better visually appealing bracket. So I'll probably have to find a kit and do that. I might even do it before put the engine back in. But I know this alternator works good, so I'm going to try and end up polishing it up and everything else. This bracket down here, which just holds the alternator to it, I'll pop it off, repaint it black, and we're just working our way through everything. So I got the cylinder head right there. Yes, I'm doing metal work right in front of the cylinder head. Oh well, it'll wash out. Eventually I want to take this down and repaint it with one of these colors down here. So one of these colors is going to be on each piece. So we're getting there. Organization is not. I need to get back on that because I still got a bunch of stuff in here that doesn't need to be just sitting around. This, I don't know what's going to happen with it. This, I'm waiting on some cones and a wing nut for it, and then it goes in service. But I got to run some wires because I want it right here next to the tire machine, which this needs air lines dropped. So I need to drop an air line back here, and then I need to put a plug for 220 over here. And I've also got to move a 1 gain box back there where that little corner is for this, because this doesn't really reach right there very well. And all that needs to just be moved. So, yeah, I did pick up another piece that eventually, like I talked about, I think in another video, little brass, I think it's brass tubing. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, before, if y'all were here, is I'm going to run 2 oil pressure gauges. One's going to be in the engine compartment, kind of like right around here or over here somewhere, where I can actually open the hood, see it. Heck, it might even be all the way up here, I don't know. But it's going to be ran to the top of the block out here, and then the bottom of the block where the other portion is for an oil pressure sender is going to go in the cab. So I'm going to have 2, just to make double sure that that thing is got its oil pressure. So I'm not relying on 1 gauge anymore. Yeah, still waiting on that head, by the way. So yeah, I'm just gonna get back to cleaning up and kind of prettying up some of this stuff, and making sure that it's ready to go whenever it comes down to throwing this thing in. Probably the next video is probably going to be me wiring and maybe getting the headers and cleaning them up a little bit more like that one, because I've already done the other one. I just have to wrap it, and that's going to be in a future video too. Let's get back to this. All right, so we're back. We've waited a little while, so now we're just going to dump this out. Let's set y'all up so y'all can actually see what's going on. Give y'all a lift. All right, so let's wash some of this out real quick. Whew. Looks good. All right, there's still some places, just a little wire brush. Get in here. Get some of this combustion off, all this carbon buildup. But this is all pretty much clean, almost like factory clean. They're just sitting in here. I mean, the valves are shiny, a little burn on them. Some of them didn't clean up all the way, but the combustion chambers look great. The head itself, all this black combustion came off, most of it. A little scraping. There we go. I'm going to go back over it with a razor again, because I still got paint up here that needs to come off, and it's just not coming off very easy. So, but yeah, I'm going to spray these things down with some brake cleaner before I do the actual head part. But now, I'm going to fill these up. This one, that one has a hole that goes through. But I'm going to fill these up, let it sit, and that's where we're going to see how it goes with it. Okay, so I've been letting this sit for a little while. Got my little wire brush here on the drill, and now I'm just going to kind of get some of this muck out of here. Get all the way where the valve is, all around the little chamber. See how that dirt coming out. Do this to each one. Alright, so we've done it with super clean. Now I'm going to spray off with some brake cleaner just to kind of dry off most of the stuff. Alright, so the head's basically clean. All these flat surfaces I'm going to scrape though, as much as I can, still chipping some paint off and everything. But the part that goes to the head, or the engine, that bolts up to it, I want to make sure everything's off of it, because I don't really know. The paint shows where it doesn't actually line up on the block, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm just going to clean this off one more time, hit it one more time with the parts washer, and then after that, brake clean it one more time, and then do the valve job. Like I said, these heads take a while to clean up and to get where I want them, and I'm still not where I actually want them. I want a heated part washer, one like a dishwasher kind of. I think that would be freaking amazing to have, and one day I'll have that, just not today. So it's the little things, just the little things. Oh. All right, so I'm gonna let this sit and kind of dry out a little bit, and we're gonna come back to it. So we got one head done, we got the bolts ready to go, we got a couple brackets done, but we're gonna come back to this because it just takes so long. So I gotta let this dry. Those bolts down there need to be cleaned up. This balancer needs to be cleaned up. These motor mounts need to be cleaned up. So it's a lot of cleaning because the person before me likes yellow, Caterpillar yellow. I guess he worked for Caterpillar, and painted everything. As you see, it's even on the valve springs. I don't know how it gets in here, but it is. So yeah, gonna let this sit. We're gonna come back to it and we're gonna do the valve job next, like time wise. So just hold tight and it'll be a few days and we'll get that valve job done. So I want to thank you for watching another episode of The Shop. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything else, put them in the comments below. Also, check out the link for our Patreon in the description down below as well, to help possibly join in for some more projects and some behind the scenes footage and everything else of builds, progress, possibly even some more giveaways that are even better. So yeah, so like I said, thank you again, and until next time.